now invite Mr. Venkatesh Iyengar to introduce our speaker of the day. Mr.
Hi.
Venkatesh?
Yes, sure. So, good evening, all of you. Thank you so much for joining and the people joining, but we wouldn't be late. So, we had a very interesting session yesterday on the importance of data in corporate finance. And today we are going from an individual functional approach to more generic approach. And I think it's very, very apt to have a very, very astute gentleman, Mr. Navnath Wadekar. Navnath has been a very close colleague in our old operations when I was working for Vodafone a long time ago. Thank you so much, Navnath, for removing time and joining. Thank you so much. I believe that there has been a lot of action post-COVID, and thank you really for your time. Let me quickly talk to you about Navnath. So Navnath apparently is a techno-commercial person with tons of experience in the technological and telecom field, and enterprising and a decisive leader with more than 16 years of work experience. He has worked in a very crucial information communication technology space for a long time, been associated with a lot of big branded companies, and he currently is the head of digital and startup ecosystem for Vodafone Idea Private Limited, or Vodafone Idea Limited, and he has past worked with Airtel, IBM, Tata, and various roles in operations, in marketing, in process, in new product development. He comes with a wide range of experience in the telecom sector and definitely in the startup and the MSME sector. It would be a valuable time for us to learn from him the nuances of how businesses are moving from a physical era to a digital era, especially with the current situation of the COVID, post-COVID times. Without wasting much time, yes, Navnath, all yours. And again, thank you so much for joining. The process is very simple. Navnath would be speaking about a couple of facets of this whole approach. And he has been very, very generous and open enough to take questions at every part of the slide. So we will not have the question and answer session later. We will have the Q&A in the interim period so that we can clarify all possible doubts coming from SME space, coming from technology space, infrastructure space, and please feel free to put it in the chat, and we will address the questions. I will probably moderate it so that we get right questions and probably accumulate common questions for the paucity of time. Again, welcome aboard. Again, thank you so much for joining. Over to you, Navnath.
Thank you, Venkatesh, for that lovely introduction. And good evening, all. And thanks for joining us on the Saturday evening. I really look forward for the truly engaging session with all of you. So I have kept the agenda very brief because I really want to have interactive sessions rather than, a monologue kind of a dialogues or a session. Only 4 parameters which I'm going to talk about, but we will go into the depth of each and every parameter. So the first one is that the COVID impact through telecom lens. So if there's one surrogate to know how any country has done well or bad against COVID-19, I think it has to be a telecom quotient of that country. And we'll see what is India telecom quotient. Tell us about Indian story. Secondly, in this current uncertain times, as people and organizations both are trying to demystify the words like lockdown 1, lockdown 2, unlock 1, unlock 2, there is a huge shift from physical to digital. And I'll touch upon this topic with some figures and facts. Followed by that, as an organization keep moving their journey, be digital, they are going to create a huge asset. We call that data. And data is a new oil and a lot of other terms which we are hearing. But we are going to see that how organizations are going to use this data, this asset in their business decisions. Finally, we will talk about the most used word and the buzzword of today, which is artificial intelligence. While AI is just an advanced version of statistics with some powerful data computing abilities and algorithms, we'll see how much as a nation or as an organization, we are ready to make maximum use of this artificial intelligence or this new technology. Finally, we'll talk about a case study which will help us to understand how telcos are making difference in the enterprise life. So let me share some telecom stats with all of you. So we have close to 1.15 billion users. Almost 800 million, 850 million unique users are there. We have more than 600 million internet users. And if you ask me about the urban and rural split, it is around 60-40. So 60% of the total population or the subscriber base in the urban category, the 40% is in the rural category. 60 to 70%. In metros, it goes to the 80%, but when it comes to the rural, around 60 odd penetration is with the smartphone. We have a telco, all telcos put together have covered more than 5 lakh towns of India, having put together close to 6 lakhs towers and 22 BTS. So I was talking about the coverage, total telecom coverage. So we have a more than 5 lakh coverage, having 6 lakhs towers, close to 22 lakh BTS. Indian telcos contribute close to 1.5 to 1.7 lakh crores, which is close to a 6.5% of Indian GDP. And that number is going up in current times. So I'll split my observation into the three categories. The first one is the consumer, and we saw this changes in consumer behavior. So traffic all of a sudden got shifted from a commercial hubs to the residential pockets. Consumption started going up almost 30 to 40%. Today, as we speak, India consumes, or any Indian consumes, close to 12 to 14 GB data, which is higher than USA and China both put together. People spend close to 3 to 4 hours of their time on this vertical screen. And there is a new normal: work from home, learn from home. The average number of apps, whether it's entertainment app, healthcare app, educational app, we have seen the number gone up to 50 apps per device. Today, 25K app publishers kind of having more than 1.2 lakh kind of apps on the app store, which is roughly around 3 to 4% of the total apps what world is having on the Play Store. First time we have started seeing the importance of the upload speed with reference to the download speed also. What does that mean? That earlier people were preferring and then accepting the broadband speed and the broadband connectivity, but they wanted to have a more and more towards the symmetric speeds for their internet connectivity. India actually started becoming the mobile first economy in true sense. That's from the consumer side. Let me talk about the organizations and what are the differences we started seeing in the organizations. They all evoked their BCP plans, because nobody had this kind of a planning BCP plans for this kind of a situation, which is very new for a lot of people, a lot of organizations. But predominantly we saw the three parameters where they all put their efforts. The first one is the safety of their employees. That was the paramount. The second one is the survival, how we can survive in this current unprecedented time. So what they started doing is that secure their existing customers, shore funding as much as possible, try and find out the alternate supply chain, shift to the alternate channel almost overnight, and enhance their skill set to this new norms. Organizations who were kind of reluctant to the work from home because of their business models, because of the data security reasons, accepted this as a new working culture and went on shopping. They bought hundreds and thousands of laptops and desktop to keep their operation live and stay in touch with the customer. A few of the technologies which we as a telco closely monitored is they started giving preferences to the mid and long-term innovations versus the immediate need, like mobility, collaboration, security, and the cloud services. For organizations, if the physical meeting is good, the virtual meeting started becoming better for them. And the whole Indian organization community started becoming a true digital workplace. So these are the two biggest observations we saw from a telco lens, a consumer and the organization. And the third, which is very critical and the equal important trend which we saw, is the event started getting cancelled and coming in the new ways of like a digital conferencing, digital summits. In fact, to talk about our own case, we recently had a channel partner meet. Earlier, when we used to have the channel partner meet, we used to have almost a month kind of a planning where we used to do the pencil booking for the hotels, multiple hotels, send the invites physical, and then the emails and EDMs, teasers to all our customers, to all our partners. send an invite to the keynote speakers, and so on and so forth. Mind you, the whole exercise of this 1 month, we completed in like less than 9 or 10 days. We had the keynote speakers from Amazon, HP, and one of the largest channel partner. That's the beauty which we observed across organizations. So as I called out, consumer, organization, that event cancellation or the events getting shifted towards the digital version. These are the predominant changes which we observed. If I have to summarize the whole change, into a single line, I would say the 80-20 rule got changed to a 90-10 rule. And let me explain what does this mean. So 90% exposed did not get or not infected. 90% infected, not exposed. 90% infected coming back out of the infection. And to a level that the GDP, which is close to 18 trillion, the global GDP I'm referring to, got only impacted by the 10%. That means 90% of the GDP was intact. This is very remarkable and noteworthy, ratio. What does that mean? The kind of resilience we have, or the organizations have showed, 90% of the whole economy are stable. What we see that it's not the largest, strongest, or the bravest that survive, but it's the one who is adaptable to change, will survive and thrive in the upcoming times. Moving on, if there are any further questions, I'm like happy to take it to understand if somebody wants to know more about what happened through a telco lens. I'll take a pause for a minute. Would like to answer that, or else we will move to the next slide, where we are going to talk about how the physical to digital shift happened.
Hello, sir. Good evening.
Good evening.
Sir, can you kindly repeat the 90-10 rule once again? And so, can you kindly again put the focus on data consumption pattern, which you have observed lately?
Sure,
Thank you, sir.
I will.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, sure. So what we saw is that the data consumption shot up by 30 to 40%. So today, as we speak, the Indian data consumption is 12 to 14 GB per user, which is higher than, as I said, USA and China both put together. That's a humongous data, right? We do have a classification and bifurcation of this data as well, where exactly data is getting consumed and what is the split of that. But another trend which we saw is that earlier the screen time was 2 hours, around 120, 130 minutes, got shifted towards the 3 to 4 hours per day by each and every individual. The number of apps installed on the mobile gone up 50 plus apps per device. Earlier it was in the range of 30 to 40. The actual consumption of the apps were like 7, 8, gone drastically high to almost 15 to 20 apps getting consumed, and then we started seeing the traffic on those apps. That's the major change which we saw in the data consumption pattern. Coming back to the second point which you asked, what is the 90-10 rule? We are saying that 90% exposed did not get infected or infect. What does that mean? If you check the COVID and the COVID stats, you will find all those are like exposed. All are not getting infected. And those who have not even exposed got infected. That's what I meant by 90-10 rule. Secondly, the 90% got infected have come out of that infection. This is an analogy which I'm trying to give, how the 90-10 rule is applicable for the whole economy or for this current situation. Just to elaborate this further, the global GDP is around 80 trillion, and the impact of this unprecedented time on the GDP is only 10%. So you can see the 5 to 10%, anywhere between 5 to 10% GDP got impacted because of the businesses kind of gone into a halt state. I would not say a full stop, but kind of a halt state. I hope that answers your query.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Great. Yeah. So we'll move to the next slide, and then we'll see that, how the physical to digital shift happened. So on 22nd March, COVID all of a sudden stopped the functioning, well-oiled and maintained machineries for the large or the entire ecosystem. And across the world, leaders started planning their return, restart, and rebuild strategy. But this time, the organizations are different. They have a different mindset and a different strategy, which was different from the earlier one and quite visible in their business operations. Majority of this are linked with their consumer or the customer behavior. And let's pick up the retail example, which is easy to understand and correlate, because we all are in some or the other way a consumer and linked with this industry. So as I mentioned, the total world economy is around 80 trillion, but the maximum or the largest industry in that is the retail industry, which contributes close to a 26 trillion and growing at 4 to 5% year on year. If we talk about India, India is around 2.8 to 3 trillion economy, and where retail contributes close to a trillion, not exactly the trillion, but we can say that, around $1 trillion. If you want to really see what change happened actually in the consumer behavior, you have to check these three parameters, and it will give you a complete picture how the consumer behavior is shifting. The three steps are pretty simple. You have to follow demand generation, where the demand generation is happening, where the demand is getting captured, or how the demand is getting captured. And the third one is that how the demand is getting fulfilled. And let's check one by one all these three steps. In the demand generation, content became the most crucial element for product success, and not or no more the presence of the distribution network, partially because of the product and the nature of the products and services, but majorly because of the content, what you are communicating to the customer. And it is no more only what you communicate to the customer, but even what customer talk about your brand, about your products and services. So it is kind of started becoming a content to convergence strategy. And thanks to OTT, I think they are the one who kind of invented this. And we have an example of Netflix of the world, right? How the personalization content started coming in, and then making the big shift the way consumer consume the content. Secondly, the demand capture. Now there is no more or absolutely minimum touch point, the physical touch point. So there is no moment of truth to capture. So hence the next important parameter to capture demand is now reviews, stars, and influencers. They all of a sudden started becoming more powerful than anything else to capture and to see how your product or the service is doing in the market, whether they're getting liked or not disliked in the market. And the third one, which is the demand fulfillment. In the demand fulfillment, innovation started ramping up drastically. And we know the cases of Dunzo's, even ITC tying up with the Domino's for the home delivery of groceries and a lot of other things, right? So clearly the shift we could see in all the three categories of this consumer behavior, whether it's generation, it's a capture, or the fulfillment of the demand. Some very noteworthy results which we observed is that 37% increase in the online shopping. The home deliveries shot up like anything. We saw that there are few store visits happening, whether it's the DMart or maybe any other mall, but the baskets started becoming very big. So few store visits, but bigger baskets. People started loving to have a contactless shopping, a cashless payment. So these are the some critical components which we observed as organizations started following their customers, and customers actually making this shift in the three steps of the demand generation, demand capture, and the demand fulfillment. And the organizations who responded in a better way showed the right mindset to go about this shift, and not only the patchy work. And let me elaborate, what does that mean? What is the difference between the digital and the digitize? So when we say digitize, it's just a process of automation. It's just the process of improving your efficiency. You can still work in your own function, in your silo, and still deliver the result. It can be a beautiful automation product, but this is not digital. What is happening here is that you have minimum internal touch points within your organization. But when it goes to the customer, or rather, when customer has to access your products or services, customer have to go through the multiple journeys. It's definitely more than one journey if they have to touch base with you. On the other side, when I'm talking about digital, it's altogether a different offering. It's the complete digital products and services with the best possible and enjoyable user journey. And there are like enough examples, and I definitely do not want to to talk about more examples. I'll talk about one example. But what is happening in the digital world is that you have maximum internal touch points and only one user journey. User has to touch base with you on one single app or one single click or three-step journey. That's what the difference between the digitized and the digital. From a simplicity perspective, let's take an example of Uber, and you guys must have heard and then seen this example multiple times. But let's, for the simplicity, just relook this example. What is the raw need? The raw need is very simple, that I want to move from location A to B. But today, I know who's going to come and pick me up. What type, what time is going to come and pick me up? Which car is going to come and pick me up? What is cost attached to the service? What is my estimated time to reach? And even the payment is cashless. Everything is frictionless. Even if I have a complaint and even if I have to give a feedback, I can do that on a single app and on the single screen. So there is no hassle. And that's what the precaution which one has to take when they're shifting from physical to digital. And obviously there are multiple ways and multiple things to start where you want to start your digital journey, but one must keep a goal in mind. Can I be another Uber in my industry where I will have a single app or single touch point or a three-step journey for whatever that customer wanted to avail from my end or from my organization? And what is important while you think about this is your backbone. Your backbone has to be digital. Okay. And when I'm saying digital, that means the cloud. Okay. So the importance of the cloud. When I'm saying cloud, that means basis on the cloud technology, whether, and it could be any type of, as a service, whether it's the infrastructure, platform. I would put it in a very simple way, XaaS, anything as a service. Can I become a product company rather than, any other company where my product is a digital and I ride on the benefits of the cloud, whether it's an agility, whether it is the speed, whether it's the capex, whether it's my cost, my overall cost, my offerings to the end customer, all can be ride and easily ride on the cloud offerings. As per one of the top consultant, in future, speed is going to be the only differentiator. And speed can come only if your operation is agile. And if you want to see the best example of agility, my suggestion is that go back to the cloud and see what all applications and what all things you can shift to the cloud. Maybe not in a day one, you want to shift your entire operation and a backbone to the cloud, but you can definitely start with the small steps. And as the digital is the journey, even the cloud migration can be your complete journey. And what you will see is that end of this, you have the right cost for your product or the service. You have the right price for your product. You have the right scale, which is very, very important, and the right market share to have a sustainable business. I'll again take a pause and would like to know if you have any queries around, if organizations are making shift from physical to digital, what all things they should consider or think about.
Yeah, please do ask questions. Put it in the chat also so that we can prune them. But as we said, the entire process is going to be interaction. So please do ask your questions. That will probably help us to, move ahead also. I think
Okay.
we can good to go. We can go ahead, Mr. Navnath, and we can take the questions again. I think no worries. So can I take
Sure.
the next slide?
Yeah, to the next slide, please. Okay. So importance of the data in the digital economy. So we have started seeing the new technologies coming all the way, right? And let's talk about the 5G first, or the IoT, or the AR, VR. And let's go back in the history when the first 1G happened, or the one that when the technology or the telecom technology started evolving. So with the 1G, we started seeing the voice playing a big role, and voice became like, the first solution of the 1G solution. With the 2G, we saw text becoming very integral part of the services from the telecom end. So it is with the 2G, it's the voice plus the data, not in the full-fledged form, but in the partial, in the text kind of a format. With the 3G, we saw that it's a lot easy. People started using or taking the advantage of the internet offerings, or the internet as a technology. With the 4G, we saw that the whole world, and even at present, we can witness that the whole world is becoming an app economy. So the shift is kind of progressive, right? So voice plus data. Then you have the robust data, or I would say the internet technology along with the data, so that the whole world is getting open to everyone. With the 4G, it's kind of becoming an app economy. Everything is now you have is on an app, whether it's the Uber or your own organization systems, whether it's the Salesforce, whether you are CRM, everything is on the app. And then people are accessing this on the technology called 4G. And we are like grateful to have or being part of this, the whole system or ecosystem shift, acting as the main highways for this change. And with the 5G, we see this getting dramatically changed. What 5G is going to offer us is the massive speed. Today we are only seeing speed in the kind of MBs, few MBs, while the actual 4G is supposed to deliver say 20, 30, 40 Mbps speed. In India, because of a lot of lack of infrastructure and then multiple reasons, we still get like say a 2, 3, 4, 5 Mbps kind of a speed, subject to where you are and then what kind of data load or the payloads at that particular location. But with 5G, what will happen is that we will have a gig of speed, which is 100 times multiplied of your existing speed. Not only that, what 5G commit is the low latency. As your applications are becoming more data hungry, the latency is going to play a biggest role. And hence the 5G is going to keep those promises. Another thing 5G is going to offer is the connectivity, number of devices which will get connected. If you're on your Wi-Fi, you can have a limitation of maximum, say 200, 250 devices you can latch upon. There is LTE, which is the 4G, which can help you to connect maybe thousands. So 5G promises us a millions of devices connection. And just imagine that what all new cases or the applications this new technology can open up. When you have this backed up with the IoT, where you can connect each and everything, whether it's the asset, human beings, anything you want to connect, you can connect and monitor in real time. It's going to be a sensor economy from whatever that we are talking today, in terms of Internet of Things or whatever that, there would be tons and tons. If we go by the stats and the numbers quoted by various consultant, across globe, we have more than 7 billion connections, mobility connections, and various stats going around the number of connected devices. It could be varying between 20 billion to 50 billion by 2025. And thanks to the sensors and this IoT technology, who's going to turn this equation? So you will find the user will not be relevant, or obviously it will be relevant, but the more relevance for the telcos would be on these devices rather than only on the subscriber base. On the subscriber side, they will see how they can stick with this customer to have other value-added services as part of their offering, rather than only the telco or the telecom services. But the whole ecosystem, definitely they would like to be part of the smart cities, part of the smart devices, and then the whole ecosystem. I'll explain how, and one country is taking advantage of this whole data and then digital shift. Let's look at China. China, they have close to 1.5 billion users versus what we have is 1.15 billion users. I talked about the data consumption. We have more than doubled of what China consuming today. I talked about the vertical screen time is close to 3 to 4 hours for us, even for the China. We are third versus the vertical screen time, only behind Philippines and Thailand. They have close to 5 hours. But if we see the e-commerce business of China, it is 1.8 trillion to 2 trillion versus what we have, the e-commerce business, as only 50 billion. Now, we have to understand why. And let me just further explain the whole 1 trillion breakup or the retail sector thing or the e-commerce business. So we have 4 to 5% coming from the e-commerce, another 5 odd percent which is coming from the modern trade, and still the 90% business happening through the brick and mortar model. Is there any harm to this? There's no harm, okay, because and then it's not going to change overnight. It's going to be a gradual shift, uh, and obviously the incidences like this COVID will help us to kind of pace it up. But is there any harm? There is no harm. What is the harm, and why we are not able to match, or why we are not able to have the e-commerce of the scales of, say, China? Because 80% of the China or the developed countries having transactions on the digital terminals versus we are having in the cash or in some offline mode. And that is the power of data which China is able to kind of extract versus we are today we are struggling. Data is very important if you really want to become a digital nation. And for that, you all have to, or rather we all have to connect to this. Earlier I said, and I can interchange this words now. Earlier I talked about the the telecom highways. Today I'm saying digital highways. Now the pipe can be provided by anybody. It could be multiple providers. It could be a telcos or whoever want to have that pipe. It could be a local cable operator as well, or maybe a per person who's having the strongest network or in particular geography and so on and so forth. But what is important is that we all have to connect on this digital highways if we really want to make maximum use of this data. And now there are 3 kind of organizations whom you can look upon, or your organization can think of partnering with if you want to extract or take maximum use of this data as we shift from physical to digital. So the first one is the cloud provider, operators like Amazon, Microsoft, Google. The second one is the system integrator. So and consultant, obviously the Accentures and TCS of the world, Infosys of the world. And the third one, new one, but expanding very rapidly, the data center provider, likes of Control-S, NetMagic, Yota, and a lot of other people. Business leaders have to take decisions on their partnerships, keeping in mind long-term vision and the purpose of their organization. Because these 3 players which I talked about, they are tech service providers, but the customer will serve by the individual organizations who are still into those commodity and core service offering, whether it's telecom, banking, or electricity. End of the day, the game is all about new acquisition, churn, ARPU, ARPA, and a lot of this depends on the personalized offering and how easy I can avail those offerings as an user. That means the user journey. So let's look at some of the analytics which today your organization must be using, some analytical tools you guys must be using to know the parameters of each and every visitor to your site. And let's understand how you make maximum use of it. Because if from this analytics or the analysis which you are getting from these visitors, if you're not able to take the business decisions for the future, you will get evolved in the digital journey, but you will never be a complete digital organization. Let me try to explain this with one simple example. And let's call this as a digital score of your website, or say digital experience score for your whatever digital presence you have. And consider this as a pyramid. So bottom of the pyramid, you are capturing the data points like number of visits happened, the tabs handled, pages viewed, time spent. So that's at the bottom of the pyramid where you say that, this segment particularly, or this particular user, and before the segmentation actually, this particular user has done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things. One level up, what exactly that user has done on your website, whether it's reading of an article, doing some kind of a search, doing some kind of copy pasting, or forwarding that link to somebody, and XYZ stuff. But a one level up from whatever that the user going to do on your website. Now the third level of that, let's try and find out engagement of various products. What exactly product he kind of drilled into, check the specifications, where exactly he got dropped out. Was it the price point, or was it the experience? Was it the latency? Was it the image? What is that he did not like about it? And then start scoring, the technical parameters at that stage. So bottom is the very raw stuff, one level up. We talked about the detailing of the products and the other things. The level third is what we are talking about, the engagement, actual engagement with your products and your technical, parameters of your technical parameters of your website. And finally, putting all this together, let's derive a digital score to see basis on these parameters who got converted or who got dropped, and can I retarget those customers basis on the personas I have built, and can I have a modified and the simplified communication and offer to that same customer, because the customer who has come to your website, you have spent a decent amount. Now you want to make maximum of that. So what is important is that how you can build the relevancy through all this information, how you can build the relevancy for that customer. How can you reach out to him at the real time when he is scouting for something? And can you reach out to him at the right place or on the right platform, whether it's the mobile, whether it's the desktop or his tab or whatever the thing. I think that is important than anything else. It's not only that, we started capturing the data, but how we are making use of the data, that is also very and equally important in this digital economy. Vinky, I'll take a pause here and would like to understand, if there are any questions, because the next slide, I'm just going to talk about one example, what and how we are making difference in the organizations.
Sure. I think definitely there would be some questions pertaining to, in fact, one of the questions which I wanted to ask from a perspective of MSMEs, we are talking about the 5G. Now, there are two things which I want to know. One is, obviously, with the current situation of lot of Chinese technology products, which would definitely not be available from an Indian market perspective, and there would be definitely a lot of focus on Indian development of support supplies for the 5G network support in terms of the ancillary products. How do you see telecom looking at it? And is there any specific products and services which MSMEs could probably look at? That is one question from a perspective of a telecom, so that MSMEs can start looking at as one of the business models. And the second thing is, how would a 5G network definitely drive the data revolution, especially for people like us who help MSMEs in working on data analytics and building their data-driven organization? And what are the infrastructure they should be augmenting with themselves, so that they can take an appropriate planning steps? These are two questions which I thought I should check with you. So please share.
Yeah, I think Venki, great question. And we first answer the question with reference to the hardware and then the limitations with the Chinese technology usage in the Indian telcos. I think that's still some I would say that a question which a lot of us, including the telcos, would not like to answer that, because it's not only the political, but there is a lot of economical things linked with it. If tomorrow we or anybody has to change the backbone overnight, it's not going to happen, right? So I'm sure that a lot of us will wait for the proper guidelines from the government end, and we'll definitely have our own BCP in place in terms of migrating to the right technology or to the appropriate technology as per the guideline. So would not like to touch upon, but rest assured, all telcos are having their BCP plan in place with reference to using the right technology or the right country products. I would not like to get into the other aspect of it, but rest assured. Coming back to the most relevant and important questions, how MSMEs can start taking use of or make use of this technologies. It's very important. And let's talk about before the 5G, because which is like it's still distance away. Let's see the IoT and let's see the surveillance service. An IoT based surveillance service can definitely make sure your manufacturing is false proof or hazard proof. How? If you continuously govern your operation through the surveillance IoT enabled, because the kind of data it's required, and then there are like various compression technologies available, and even on the IoT SIM, you can connect your surveillance cameras, or you can make your operation completely monitor it remotely. You can ensure that all the things are like proactively taken care. With the sensors available today, enabled with the IoT SIMs, the device can be proactively tracked and monitored rather than doing the post-mortem or the reactive kind of maintenance of any equipment. Classic example is the MG Hector or Hyundai. They launched their model recently with us. Now, these vehicles, they are already fitted or they already have the IoT's SIMs built in. And we know the typical pattern of a driver to drive the vehicle, consumption of the consumption of the fuel of the vehicle, where it is getting ring fenced or where it is getting say parked, or whether it is crossing the geo fence area, and all those things. Now what will happen is that through an app, and it is happening, this is a reality rather, through an app we can start sending this information to two people. One is to the owner of the vehicle, secondly to the OEM of the vehicle, so that if there is any wear and tear of any particular part, the driver or the owner will get notification well in advance. Similarly, even OEM will get to know that there is some mistake or there is an error in some kind of a parts of the vehicle. Now this is just the one element. Now today we have maybe thousands of components in the vehicle, which is your fuel, diesel or the petrol consumption vehicle. Now think like you shifting this thousands of parts to only a 20 parts EV. Okay, and there also the use case, and I'm coming from a MSME perspective. Now here, while MSME still can be part of the whole ecosystem, but by large, OEMs would love to have this integrated vehicle or the IoT integrated vehicle along with them. So they will procure it from us. So for an example, Hyundai or MG Hector will procure it from us, will have an embedded SIM in their vehicle. But now think about the EV ecosystem which is going to come. And by 2025, you will see drastic change in terms of the EV vehicles on the road. And predominantly, these are going to be a two-wheelers and then the three-wheelers. Now there is the whole ecosystem which is going to get set up, and not only the manufacturing of the product, right? So not only the large OEMs will have this. MSMEs must think how they can take use of this technology. Can they work with the existing vehicle owners with the external embedded technologies, which are like, they come up with a plug and play kind of a model where they still be part of the whole ecosystem and say proactively, okay, your battery is at this level. Would you like to come and then charge your battery at my station? Or please visit this place, which is nearest from your driving, or maybe wherever you have parked your vehicle, and you can get a fully charged battery. I'm just explaining one or two examples, but the use cases are like thousands. In fact, recently government tried to invite startups to have the use cases around the 5G. And there are more than 1,400, if I'm not wrong, 1,400 or 1,500 odd use cases they received. They are in the stage or at the stage where they are going to shortlist 100 odd technologies or the 100 odd use cases, and then going to see that how this will make a change the way we operate or function today. I'll take a pause here, Venki, but I hope I answer your question, for both the things.
Sure. So I think the question also, apart from this, one of the key things was, which I wanted to understand was, because now the 5G is coming, and there is a lot of MSMEs who are into driving ancillary support to a lot of companies, be it an auto company, there's an ancillary business which is happening. And there are a lot of MSMEs trying to produce maybe gadgets or switches or whatever. Similarly, what I was wanted to look at is, will that create an impact for the MSME in terms of the 5G revolution? That is one. And I think that is still way to go, which I can sense. The second is so when would be 5G looked at in Indian markets, and how does it actually help in building a data revolution for the MSMEs? Because obviously once the 3G came, there was a lot of mobile influx and the growth of mobility happened. 4G basically helped in driving the data perspective of the mobile business, and the cloud also helped in driving the 4G, because a lot of apps, and you very rightly said, if I could even do a physical count of number of apps happening in my mobile, is not less than 40-45. So looking at that perspective, how MSME should drive and get in oriented towards the 5G movement tomorrow coming? And that was the question, what you feel from a telco perspective, what all they should start looking at, and what are the different applications they can actually benefit because of 5G? And I think that was more apt as a question.
Okay, so applications, as I told you, right? So a lot of vendors, so-called, of the large OEMs, they have to think how the technology is going to make a difference to their existing business. And I was trying to explain this with, how they can make their operation smooth and frictionless and then still hazard-proof, while they can monitor and track from a distance. That was one of the point which I wanted to cover.
Right.
The second part which I explained is that do not look at the only existing business, okay? Or while yes, the 5G is still a distance away, or maybe in like max to max 2-3 years, the ecosystem will start evolving and so on and so forth. But look at what you can do with the IoTs and the sensors. Okay, that's very important, because 5G, obviously, it's going to be a big game changer. Okay, the kind of massive speed it's going to give, connectivity it has, number of devices it can connect. The reality would be AR and VR. If you ask me how MSMEs should start their journey for this particular thing or the particular technology, is I would say that, go on cloud. Go on the cloud for all your applications. Start collecting your data points. See, why today we are at 50 billion e-commerce versus 1.8 trillion of China is surely because we do not have a data stored at the common place. We do not have the view of that end customer. That one customer which we want to chase or we want to target, he's even today he's going to the same store and then buying the stuff. Tomorrow I want to target that person. I'm not able to target. Why? Because I do not have his records with me. I do not have his persona. Can I have that persona in some or the other digital form? That is my first step. And if I say that digital, if I have to start or if I have to be there, my journey will start with the digital adoption or digital tool adoption. And digital is cloud. Okay. And let me put it this absolutely in sync with the technology terminologies. If you want to be digital, your offering has to be digital products or services, which has to get backed up by the cloud. Why? Because until and unless your backbone is on the cloud, you will not have the agility. You will not have the product offering to the end customer, which is absolutely a digital journey rather than the physical. Today we are doing physical. By a lot of mean, we are still physical, and there's no harm. But can I start having that interaction with my user on the digital platform by any means? It could be even a simple pause. That is a starting point. As far as the MSMEs are concerned, I would say that they should shift from on-premise to the cloud. That can be their server or that can be their simple application where, and it could be a CRM, okay, as simple as the CRM, where they are capturing and storing their customer data points. Today, telco, as a telco, and I'm going to talk about this in my case study as well, and I think we are already kind of overshot the time, but today as a telco, we cover or we capture more than 60 parameters. Now, out of the 60 parameters, which parameter is a significant parameter, which is a non-significant parameter? And how can I make decisions based on the significant parameters? How can I build my stickiness with the customer? How can I retain my customer? How can I do upselling and cross-selling to my customer? Are very important, and which all will get backed up and supported on a digital platforms. When I'm saying digital, that means yes, the digital will get built on the cloud platform. Cloud is a very broad term where you can start with a very simple application on a cloud, an infrastructure on the cloud, a platform on the cloud, security on the cloud, everything. Okay. Or as I said in the beginning, everything as a service. Start small and then gradually shift your entire operation on the cloud so that somebody else is managing on your behalf the whole operation, no matter what stage and what phase you are into or what vertical you belong to, because that is what will give you agility. That is what will give you a speed, and that is what will give you a cost flexibility. So I hope, Venki, I could able to answer your question.
Yeah, surely. Definitely, Navnath, no two ways about it. I think one of the key things which I want to summarize from a perspective of what you have been sharing and very vital for a lot of MSMEs is definitely the cloud. And in fact, during our data-driven initiatives and when we help clients on the analytical intrints, this is one of the key things, because refreshing the data through a static server becomes very difficult, very painful in terms of carrying the data over a particular email, and definitely the security is really what do you say, compromise in some cases, and then you need to build a lot of lot of tools on top of the security to actually get those data to your data set levels or to work on that data. I think cloud-based, if you see most of the analytical platforms today have a direct refreshing options available through the cloud, be it a cloud of any cloud, Google Cloud.
Absolutely. There are providers, Amazon's, Microsoft, Google, Adobe. Okay, so these are the cloud providers who can not only help you to store, okay, at a centralized location, but they can also help you to churn the data the way you want to have it, the way you want to manage your database. Not only that, this will get backed up with your visualization of what are the data you are capturing. The whole AI and ML piece is going to sit on this data. You have to have, so how your algorithms will be strong, okay, or how they can give you a good decision purely basis on the data. Until unless you give them the right data, the algorithm is useless. Okay, the data, more and more data you will give it to him, and look at the time series for an example, right? The more how somebody is going to have a COVID as a situation factored in the time series, not until and unless the similar kind of incidents happened in, I think, 2018, if I'm not wrong, or 2000, not 2018, 1918, right? So almost 100 years data. Can we have that kind of a data? Can we even think of having those kind of data? So the answer to that is no. But can I have today a system where I will start capturing the data and in whatever that the form, okay, I'm not saying that, in the right form, because there are tools and then the providers available who can help you to churn the data and kind of put the unstructured data into the structured format. So we don't have to worry about that, but start capturing the data and use this providers who are into this offerings, and then get sense of that data, use that data for your business decision.
So I think rightly said, Navnath. I sense that what you're trying to bring on the table is definitely an area which a lot of MSMEs are adopting. I have seen a lot of approaches for us as an company also, where we've been told by the lot of these companies like Azure and Microsoft Azure and Google Cloud for being a partnership to help MSMEs to drive the cloud services, cloud offerings, and we are contemplating to give a complete solution. And our objective mostly lies in driving the analytical data process. And I think it is one of the key input for building a data-driven organization. I think I completely agree with you. And I think is there? Please, I would request to people to ask one last question before we just kind of summarize on the approach what Navnath has been very elaborately, very simply shared about what are the new things which are important from a client perspective or an MSME perspective on how to become from physical to digital. Please, I would request anybody for one question. We can just take one more from a perspective of time, and then we will summarize. So is that a right approach, Navnath, or do you have suggestions on any inputs?
No, I think yes, we can pick up the question. I think we have overshot the time. So let's pick up the question if there are. And I think I'll just put my last recommendation to the people, maybe 2-3 lines, which I definitely want to communicate.
I think you should. I think anything which is new technology, it takes some time to seep in, and we will try and create some specific discussion points. Just to give you a perspective, all of you on the panel today, all of you on the audience today, Tatvamasi as a company believes in creating a lot of knowledge value enhancement, which is a part of a data-driven organization. The entire series, if you see, has been very heterogeneous. We have people from different perspectives coming and talking about data or the importance of being a data-driven organization. And that is where we as a brand believe in, because anything which has been new from a technology perspective or an emerging technology, we would be definitely having those initiatives done for all the larger volume of people to get learned about it, get oriented about it, and maybe we could probably help them over a period of time in building those points. It could be an infrastructure issue which we could help them connect with some people. If it is a definitely a database or analytical issue, that is anyway we do as a client, and as a business we do that. So this has been a very interesting series, Navnath. I should tell you, we started with a gentleman from project management, very different perspective we got from a project management, how data can be useful. Then we had yesterday we had a gentleman on corporate finance, and that also gave us a different perspective on as an MSME, which are the areas data is looked at and how I can gear up as an MSME or an entrepreneur. And it need not be only MSMEs; it could be any large corporate also who are well behind probably on the data curve, and they can take it into the next level. So I definitely sense that these kind of sessions and webinars do add a lot of value for entrepreneurs, starters, students, or who could be, and we will be continuing such sessions. So just before Navnath ji kind of summarizes a couple of points, I would want to share two things. We will have the next session on Saturday and Sunday. I think we will have the next session only on Sunday because I have just got a confirmation, unfortunately, Mr. Abhijit Verma from USA. So he is basically based out of a city near Boston. He is a little bit into a personal need and an emergency, I believe, and he has suggested me that it should probably, he may confirm to me on the Friday event of his, which is coming on the next Friday. And I'll keep all of you informed on that. We already have made a group, so I will put it on that. But on Sunday, we have Ketan Patel, who is going to talk about the importance of data from a working capital perspective, one of the most critical need for a lot of MSMEs, entrepreneurs. So Ketan Patel runs a company, he runs a business known as Cache. They are one of the largest working capital and funding company for the financial funding company for the MSMEs. And to share, Ketan has been one of the top first organization to bag the best startup award from the Economic Times. So do tune in on the coming Saturday, at 6 o'clock to listen to Ketan. And on Friday, we will have, Abhijit comes from a very big organization, one of the big four organizations. He heads the Analyticas for Americas. So I will be keeping you posted on his personal situation, and I will get back to you on that. So thank you from my side. Yes, Navnath, before I give a Thanksgiving, please complete your 2 points on your summary.
So guys, I wanted to talk about a case study, but I think because of the paucity of the time, I'll skip that. But one message definitely which I want to give to all my friends who have joined here is that two very important points in current times. One is the immunity of your individual and frugality. It's very, very, very important for all of us. Secondly, I would say that digital is not a patchwork. Please do not consider digital as a patchwork, because that's going to be the platform if you really want to extract maximum from your from the AI capabilities. Having said that, I would say start small, fail fast, and scale very fast. I think that's the mantra if I want to give, or if I want to say something to anyone, is that start small, fail fast, and scale very fast. So on that note, I would like to say thanks for joining us, and thank you, Venki, for inviting me for this lovely session.
I think that's an amazing line. Start fast and fail. Sorry, say that again. I think I need to really look at it. Yeah.
Start small.
Okay.
Fail fast and scale very fast.
Amazing. Start small, fail fast, and scale very fast. I think that's the takeaway today, and it actually encompasses everything. 1 second, I believe there is one question coming up. The next session is on the Saturday, the next Saturday, Aditya, from a gentleman known as Mr. Ketan Patel. He's a founder and CEO of Cashify. He runs a company basically supporting financial supports to MSMEs in terms of lending, and also working cash flow on working. So that will happen the next Saturday, I'm so sorry. Friday's session is something which I need to really come back to you because of the fact there is a personal emergency. The gentleman is going to be logging in from a city near Boston. So I will keep you posted on that. So thank you so much, Navnath. Thank you so much. It's been like a good initiative discussed from a Vodafone perspective. Very nostalgic to listen, to see the Vodafone logo. Very nostalgic to see. It's been nice, good 8-7 years which I had spent. And thank you so much for your time. Always privileged to have people from Vodafone speaking on our platform. Definitely one of the biggest brands I have been associated with. Very, very proud to be in that company for the almost 7+ years. And thank you. We will work something more in a longer perspective on talking about each of the topics. Maybe we could probably work out a session, and that's what I see as a next step. And thank you so much. And thank you all of you to be patient enough to listen to us. Thank you so much to join. Let's tune in on the next Saturday at 6 p.m. We already have created a WhatsApp group. We already have a Facebook group. Please share your views, questions, and we will keep you informed. We were trying to figure that entire process of getting the communication in right, and we will also enhance that in the coming week. Thank you. Please share your views at our portal on our website, and please do share your inputs. Any more suggestions? Happy to welcome. And any suggestions for Navnath from a Vodafone idea perspective, please share. I will make sure that it goes to him either in an infrastructure need or a Vodafone application need. We will be more than happy to just pass it on so that Navnath can connect with all of you for supporting that endeavor. Thank you so much, Navnath. Have a pleasant evening and a lovely weekend. Thank you, folks.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Venki.